How good will the LA Rams defense be this upcoming NFL season? We got to talk about it. I want to give a special shout out to the sponsor of this video, Manscaped. So Manscaped recently just launched their Lawnmower 4.0. And listen, if you are a guy who does a lot of shaving underneath, the Lawnmower 4.0 is the perfect tool for you because listen, my first time shaving a couple of months ago went terrible. I had a bunch of scrapes, I had a bunch of bruises, and I also had patches because I didn't even finish the job. So when Manscaped sent me the Lawnmower 4.0, I used it, and I was a little bit scared, okay? Because I was like, I ain't trying to give myself patches and give myself injuries like I did last time, my first time shaving. But when I used the Lawnmower 4.0, let me tell you guys something. It was a easy process. I had no scrapes, no bruises. It was no pain. Listen, if you're a guy who does a lot of shaving underneath, make sure that you guys go ahead and cop the Lawnmower 4.0 using my promo code JT for 20% off plus free shipping off your Manscaped purchase. Once again, make sure that you guys use promo code JT for 20% off your purchase plus free shipping. Your balls will thank you. Now, the Los Angeles Rams defense lost a pretty good amount of talent over the offseason. They lost defensive coordinator Brandon Staley, who is now the current head coach of the LA Chargers. They also lost safety John Johnson, but I still expect this defense to still be really good. I think at worst, the Rams probably will have a top 12 defense. Now, replacing Brandon Staley at defensive coordinator this year is going to be Raheem Morris. Now, Raheem Morris, if you guys don't recall, was the interim head coach for the Atlanta Falcons when they fired head coach Dan Quinn at the time. Under Raheem Morris, the Atlanta Falcons had a pretty decent turnaround. They were really competitive under Raheem Morris. The defense played really good under him as well. Now, with Raheem Morris, the talent that he has to work with on defense for the LA Rams is way more talent than what he had to work with when he was on the coaching staff of the Atlanta Falcons. Now, even though the Rams did lose a good amount of talent, this is still one of the most talented defenses in all of football. Defensive end A'Shawn Robinson, I feel, could have a big year for the Rams this year. He spent a couple of years in Detroit, didn't really work out there. I think Raheem Morris should be able to get the most out of A'Shawn Robinson. I feel like A'Shawn Robinson has a lot of potential that didn't really get tapped into when he was with the Detroit Lions. I like him a lot. You got Aaron Donald, who is the best defensive player in the NFL. He had 13.5 sacks last year. He's pretty much unstoppable. He's one of the best defensive players of all time. Some of you guys may say that he may be the best defensive player of all time. Now, linebacker kind of worries me at will. You're going to have Oronko starting at will, projected to start at will. Don't really know how good he's going to be, but the Rams are pretty good when it comes to replacing talent that they lose because they're really good in the draft. So I think Okonkwo could be pretty solid, but we don't really know what to expect out of him. You got Leonard Floyd, who is coming off a career season in 2020 with 10.5 sacks. Is he going to be able to replicate the success that he had last year? You got inside linebackers, Micah Kiser, Justin Hollins, rookie Ernest Jones, Troy Reeder, and Kenny Young. Now, you're going to have some questions there at linebacker. Now, I like Kenny Young, I like Justin Hollins, and I like Micah Kiser there as well. You really don't know how much production you're going to have at that inside linebacker position this year is probably my biggest question, but I'm not expecting linebacker to be that big of a weakness. I like Micah Kiser a lot. I also wouldn't be surprised if we see Justin Hollins kind of have like somewhat of a role in this defense. And I definitely am a big fan of Kenny Young because I've seen a lot of him when he was with the Baltimore Ravens, me being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So of course, people are going to have their concerns because you look at this roster, and for the average football fan, they go to linebacker, and it's just a lot of names that nobody really is familiar with. But I do think that inside linebacker could be the biggest surprise for this Rams defense this year. I think they're going to get a lot of good play out of the current inside linebackers that they have on their roster right now. Now, the strength of this team aside from the defensive line, when you have A'Shawn Robinson and Aaron Donald, is probably going to be the cornerback position. You got Darius Williams, who was, in my opinion, the most improved player in the NFL last year. Some of you guys may say Josh Allen, but aside from Josh Allen, it probably would have been Darius Williams. Darius Williams should have been a Pro Bowler last year, but him and Jalen Ramsey make up one of the top 5 cornerback duos in the NFL. Now, of course, you got Jalen Ramsey. He emerged as one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. Some people consider him the best cornerback from last year. Some people say he's definitely a top 3 corner. Some people say he may be a top 5, but nonetheless, Jalen Ramsey is one of the best corners in the game. Now, rookie Robert Rochell. Remember this name, Rams fans. Robert Rochell is a guy who comes from like a smaller school. I think he came from Central Arkansas. This guy is an athletic freak. He reminds me a lot of Byron Jones. When you look at Robert Rochell, he has good size, great length, and incredible athleticism. Don't be surprised if you start hearing Robert Rochell's name called sooner rather than later. Look out for him as we progress throughout the offseason. Look out for him in rookie mini camp, OTAs, training camp, and definitely in the preseason, because I think Robert Rochell definitely probably is going to be the starting slot corner for the LA Rams this year. I'm really high on Robert Rochell. I think he can end up having a very productive and impactful rookie season for the LA Rams defense. Then you got safety Taylor Rapp. Taylor Rapp was pretty good last year back in 2020. I think he can make a step up this year and potentially become a Pro Bowler. Now, the biggest question is going to be who's going to end up manning that other safety spot on the other side of Taylor Rapp, and who's going to end up being that guy who replaces John Johnson. I can't really give you any answers right now. That's going to be a question that's going to have to be addressed as we go throughout the rest of the offseason, as we go through training camp and preseason. It's pretty much a mystery in terms of who's going to be starting at that other safety spot. I don't really have an idea as of right now. But overall, as a whole, I still think the Rams defense will be pretty good. I think at worst, they'll be top 12. At best, this probably should still be a top 5 unit. I think if you had to kind of find a medium, I probably would say they probably will rank around 6th through 8th in defensive efficiency this year. I still think this is a really good defense despite losing their defensive coordinator. I still think that this team has a lot of talent there. One thing about the LA Rams is that they draft really good in the later rounds of the NFL draft, probably because most of the time they don't have a first round pick. They always have pretty good depth, and they always have guys who emerge. I definitely think Sebastian Joseph Day and Greg Gaines would give you a good rotation there at nose tackle. Like I said, Aaron Donald is going to be a reckoning force this year, like always. Don't really have any questions about him. My biggest question, is it inside linebacker? Okay, I think they can't go wrong with Michael Kaiser, Justin Hollins, or Ernest Jones, Troy Reader, or Kenny Young. I like all of those guys there. My biggest question is going to be Will Okonkwo. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Okonkwo. You don't really have that much to go off when it comes to him. So you don't really know what you're going to get. I don't know if he's great in coverage. I don't know what he's going to bring to the table there. So if you are a Rams fan, your biggest area of concern would probably be that will linebacker position, because Okonkwo, okay, I'm pretty sure the Rams are high on him, but we don't really know what we're going to get out of Okonkwo. So that probably is my biggest area of concern. Also, you have safety, like who's going to be John Johnson's replacement, but will linebacker really concerns me. And like I mentioned, this is probably going to be addressed throughout preseason, throughout training camp. We're probably going to see a lot more out of Okonkwo. We're probably going to be seeing his names pop up in a lot of articles in terms of how his play is going to be. But overall, I still think that this is a really talented defense. I definitely think you can't go wrong with Raheem Morris as your defensive coordinator. I think he did a pretty good job as the interim head coach for the Atlanta Falcons last year, and I still think that this should be a top-ranked defense heading into 2021. So you guys let me know down in the comment section down below how good you guys feel the LA Rams defense will be this year. Make sure that you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and content, and thanks for watching.